right. Happy Friday. I can't believe that I'm going to see some of you again. That's going to be really weird, but really happy too. And I'm sad that I can't see all of you, but I understand like that you want to be at home or you have to be at home. And so don't worry, my love for you is always going to stay strong and we will just make it work. Some kids will be online and some kids will be in person and we will just make it all work together. Okay. We are good. Trust me, we'll be okay. This is not algebra. Silly rabbit. We're not in algebra. Let me go ahead and find today's date. Can you believe we're in week 5? I feel like it should be like November already, but no, still September. All right, what are we doing today? I am going to teach you the same sort of thing. So go get pencil and paper, okay? But I'm going to make the numbers harder. They're not going to be nice, easy, whole numbers. They're going to be fractions and decimals, but it's okay because we can use a calculator. So go grab your calculators as well. All right, after we do a couple problems, I'm probably only going to do like 3 or 4 problems with you, so not too many. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to have you go finish this video. So that's not the video. Sorry, that's the notes. Here's the video. It is,
Hey guys,
who's
this
teaching?
is the video.
That's Mrs. Johnson teaching again. She also teaches 8th grade math. It's an 18-minute video. So what I'm doing is I'm actually going to be doing some of the problems with you right now so that you don't have all 18 minutes to watch. So when I say bye to you and I'm like, okay, go watch the video, you can fast forward through the ones that we already did. Okay. And then, okay, so where do you get it? It's right here. I did right here, do not use Kami. So if you don't have a printer, just write your notes on a separate sheet of paper because look, you just have problems. There's no way that you can Kami like this. It's just going to be really hard. So just write the problems on a separate sheet of paper and you're good. Okay. You do not need to submit your notes on Schoology. Okay. What you did have to submit yesterday though was your Schoology 5-question assignment. So please make sure you did that because that was due yesterday. You can still get a late grade for it, but I just don't want it to be a 0. And then finally, I hope you're checking Skyward. I know I'm telling you all the time, but I hope that you're checking Skyward because if there's grades that need to be changed because they're zeros and you want a late grade because you did it, then you need to let me know because I'm not going to know and it'll stay a 0 until you tell me. Okay. And again, just because you don't have to submit your notes on Schoology does not mean that you don't have to do it. Okay. Please make sure you do it. It is important. Okay. Because this is new stuff. Before we get to the math, I want to show you this. Okay. Some of you will be coming back to school. So I want to make sure that you are prepared. Okay. In all of your classes, what do you need to bring? Please bring your personal laptop or your school borrowed Chromebook. Okay. If you borrowed a Chromebook from the school, please make sure you bring that to school because we don't have enough computers for every single kid at the school because we lend so many of it out. So we need those kids to bring it back. And then we need some kids, if you're allowed to bring your personal laptop, to bring it to school. Please remember to also bring the charger though, because obviously your laptops aren't going to hold charge all day. So make sure you just throw that charger at the bottom of your backpack. So just in case you need it, it will be there. Now, since we're going to be working out of computers and laptops for much of the day, it would be crazy if there were like 33 Edgenuity voices, going on in the same class. I mean, I think that you would feel like you're going crazy. So please bring earbuds or headphones that work with your device. So if you don't, you can't bring lightning earbuds if your little jack is not a lightning jack. Okay. You might have to go to the dollar store and buy one of those dollar cheap earbuds because they're the old school kind. Now, here's the thing. If your parents will not let you bring a personal laptop, then you don't have to bring it. But keep in mind then that you're going to have to borrow a different Chromebook from a different teacher every period. So that's just more chances of contamination, more germs. But, if your parents won't let you bring your Chromebook your laptop, then you don't have a choice, right? Obviously, if you have a Chromebook at home that you borrowed from the school, then make sure you bring that. Of course, we need pencils, pens, highlighters, colored pencils, comp books, your math folder, and lined paper. This is all stuff that was included in your back to school box. So just bring all that and throw it in your backpack. If you didn't buy a back to school box, then pencils, pens, highlighters, composition book, math folder, lined paper. Really, that's all you need, okay? Of course, you need to bring a mask. Everyone is required to bring a mask, okay, and wear a mask covering your mouth and nose at all time. I know it's hot and it's hard to breathe, but you cannot do one of these things. Okay, let me look at the other camera so you can see. You cannot do this. Like when you're talking and you have your nose exposed, but your mouth, like that doesn't do anything. You might as well just take your mask off, okay? So you have to make sure your nose and your mouth stay covered the whole time. Okay, and some people want to put face shields on top of that just to be extra safe. That's going to be me. You'll match with me, okay? But that's something you might be interested in doing. Of course, bring a water bottle because we don't have drinking fountains anymore, okay? We have those refillable water stations, but we don't have drinking fountains because we're afraid that someone's mouth is going to touch the spout and then germs and blah, blah, blah. Finally, personal calculator. If you purchased a TI-84 Plus, bring it if you want to, but if you don't want to, you can borrow one of my classroom sets. But again, just like the laptops, it's going to be shared with 7 people all day. So it's just one of those things where, we'll sanitize it, you'll sanitize it, but I don't know if that's what you're comfortable with. Okay. I know that a lot of you downloaded the phone app, TI-84 Plus. Phones are not allowed in class. Okay. They will be put in your backpack all day. So you will not be able to use your phone calculator, even if you wanted to. I have a normal calculator for you to use in the classroom. Are there any questions before we start the math? Okay. Mr. Tucker, do you have anything to add?
To your general comments about procedures for next week and all?
Yes.
I think you pretty well covered it. I think it's just like just remember we're in an unusual time and be mindful that about equipment we use at school, and we have to share it and keep it sanitary and everything.
Yeah.
And to think differently than you normally do when you're at school, and it might be a little bit of a challenge, but I know you all can do it.
Yeah, especially since you guys are in 8th grade. Those 6th grade babies, they might need some help, but you guys are in 8th grade, so I know you can do it. All right, on your pencil, on your paper, please write this problem down. 2 plus 2/5 x equals 3/8 x minus 1. All of you should be writing this down right now. This is a problem that's actually on today's video you're going to watch, so you can just skip this one on the video and fast forward through it if you don't want to watch it again, or you can just get more practice and watch it again. It's your choice.
Oh, Ms. Friesenhan, there is one question related to what you were talking about.
Yes.
Hannah Trigg asked, are AirPods fine?
AirPods are fine if they'll connect to your device. Like, I don't think AirPods will not connect to the Chromebooks because sometimes the Wi-Fi and the linking in the Chromebooks are old and slow. So that's what we found last year. So I would say, Hannah, if you're not bringing your own like MacBook, then you might, and if you're bringing a Chromebook or you're borrowing a Chromebook, you need to probably buy one of those super like cheap $1 ones. Because the Wi-Fi and the connection, it like only works half the time. We've noticed last year. Okay, so let's do this problem. I have this really ugly problem, and it has a bunch of fractions. And let me tell you right now, I personally hate fractions. So what I'm going to do is instead of making this a fraction problem, I'm going to make my life a little bit easier and make it a decimal problem. So I'm going to change all of these to decimals. Does anyone remember from like the first week of school, how do I change a fraction to a decimal? Divide, exactly. Thank you, Jema. So you divide. So here, let's rewrite this new problem, okay? So I'm going to cross it out. I have 2, that's not a decimal, like it's just a whole number 2, plus 2/5 x. So I go 2 divided by 5 equals 2/5 is 0.4. Okay, so 2 plus 0.4x equals 3/8. So 3 divided by 8 equals, what does that equal? 0.375. Guys, please do not round this. If you round your decimals, it's not going to turn out to be the exact right answer. So if your decimal is 3 numbers long, you write all 3 numbers. If it's 5 numbers long, you have to write all 5 numbers, okay? So I have 0.375x and then minus 1. So here's my new problem. Whenever I can, if I see fractions, I'm going to change them to decimals. And then I'm going to do the same thing as I did yesterday. So I'm going to draw my long line. Okay. So does anyone remember from yesterday and the day before? What was the rule? Do I move the bigger one or do I move the smaller one? Smaller one. Thank you, Sydney. I always want to move the smaller one. Which one is smaller? 0.375. Good. Some of you are like, no, 375 is not smaller than 4. No. Round to the same one. 0.4, 0.3. Isn't 0.3 smaller than 0.4? So this is a smaller one, 0.375, and I'm going to drop it down on both sides. Remember, put your X's under your X's. Be organized with your work. So all of you are writing this down right now. Okay, don't say divide, don't say divide, don't say divide, don't say divide. How do I move this 0.375? Thank you. Subtract. Good job. So because it's positive, right? Opposite of positive 0.375 is negative or minus. So I'm going to minus 0.375. So 0.375 minus 0.375 is 0. That's why that cancels out. So let's rewrite it. Let's drop everything down. I have 2. I don't know this one. Let's do the math. So 0.4 minus 0.375. Like, you see what I'm doing? I'm just typing it in my calculator. And it's really not hard because I have a calculator. Oh, 0.025. So it's plus 0.025 because it was positive. If it were a negative, it would be minus 0.025. But since it's positive, it's plus 0.025x, just don't forget the x after, equals, what does the other side equal? -1. Thank you for remembering that. Look at the symbol before. It's a -1. It's not a positive 1. It's a -1. Okay. Someone other than Sydney. Someone other than Jama. What number do I drop down now?
2.
2. Thank you, Jama.
That was Jama.
That was Jama. Jama, no more. I know you know this. Thank you. You are wonderful, but no more Jamas. Okay. Someone other than Jama. How do I move the 2? Add, subtract, multiply, divide. Use opposite operations.
Taylor says subtract.
Thank you, Taylor. So opposite of positive 2 is negative or minus 2. So I'm going to minus 2 on both sides. So let's drop everything down. I have a plus 0.025. So that's just positive 0.025x equals -1 minus 2. Please, 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 for the love, just use your calculator. Don't do it in your head. So many of you think that it's -1. -1 minus 2. Put it in your calculator. What's the point of using or having a calculator this year if you don't use it? Is -3. Okay. Now what do I do? Divide. Thank you, Oliver. You're going to divide by the number that's still on the same side as x. So divide by 0.025. Oh my gosh, if I were in 7th grade, I would absolutely hate this problem. It would probably take me like 15 minutes to try to just divide this huge decimal. But guess what, guys? We have calculators this year. So you have x equals, okay. So when I type this in my calculator, remember the top number is written first, -3. Divided by, the bottom number is written second, 0.025. What do I get? -120. And that's my answer. Boom. So, fraction problems suck, but if you have a calculator, change it to a decimal problem and it's not as sucky. Okay, that's the moral of today. Now, remember, you can always double check your answer if you want to. Like, so if we know that negative 120 is my answer, let's plug it in. I have 2 plus 0.4 times negative 120. I get negative 46. Let's do this side. 0.375 times negative 120 minus 1. I get negative 46. So I know that I got the same answer on both sides, which means negative 120 is the correct answer. Okay, let's do 2 more. Okay, I'm just doing 3 problems with you today. So let's do this one. So please write this problem down. 1/4 x plus 2 equals 2/5 x minus 1. I hate fractions. They are my worst enemy. Them and cockroaches. So since I don't like fractions, I should just change this entire problem into a new one. So a decimal problem, exactly. Change all your fractions to decimals. So remember what we said, to change a fraction into a decimal, you divide. So 1/4 is 1 divided by 4. It is 0.25. So I'm going to write 0.25. 0.25x. Write it slow so you know that you have x's after some of them and non-x's after some of them. Then you saw a plus 2. Then you had an equals. Then you have a 2/5. So 2 divided by 5, 0.4. So 0.4x minus 1. Ah, that doesn't look as terrible. So the rule is you always want to move the smaller x. Which one is smaller, guys? Point 0.25.
0.25.
Good. 0.25 is smaller. Think 0.2 is smaller than 0.4. So 0.25 is smaller. So that's what I'm going to drop down on both sides. Remember, put your x's underneath your x's. Okay, don't say divide, don't say divide, don't say divide. How do I move this 0.25? Hey, that rhymes. Add, subtract, multiply, divide, guys.
They're saying subtract.
Good, because it's a positive, right? Opposite of positive is a negative or a minus. So I'm going to minus 0.25 on both sides. So let's see what we have left over. I have plus 2, which is a positive 2. Then I have an equals. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this. I have 0.4. Oh, sorry, that's negative 4. 0.4 minus 0.25. I end up getting 0.15. So it's 0.15x and then minus 1. Okay. Now what number do I drop down? One. Opposite of a minus 1 is a plus 1. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So 2 plus 1 is 3 equals 0.15x. Now what? Divide. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Divide 15.
Divide by 0.15, divide by 0.15. So when I rewrite this, remember the top number that I see is written first. So it's 3 divided by, the bottom number is written second. 3 divided by 0.15 is 20. So my answer is 20 equals x, or x equals 20. And I can always plug it back in and double check. Okay. If you didn't think that that was complicated enough, I have something even more complicated for you, okay? So let's write this final last problem, okay? please write 3/4 x plus 2 equals 2/3 x plus 5. 3/4 x plus 2 equals 2/3 x plus 5. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, here's my problem. We said that if we have fraction problems, let's change them into decimals. So 3/4 is 0.75. 2/3, it's a repeating decimal. Shoot. I told you earlier, never round it. But if you can't round a repeating decimal that goes on forever, how do you write it? You can't. Okay, I know some of you are like, oh, just write the line on top. No, if you write the line on top, you're still not going to get the right answer. So here's the only trick, okay? If you have a fraction here that ends up being a repeating decimal, you cannot change it to a decimal. You just got to suck it up and be a big boy or a big girl, and you just have to do a fraction problem, okay? So, sorry guys, sometimes we just have to deal with the fractions, but guess what? We can do fractions on our calculator. So let's just do that. So 3/4, 2/3. You always want to drop down the smaller one. 3/4 is 0.75. 2/3 is 0.6 repeated. Which one is the smaller one? 2/3 is the smaller one. 0.6 is smaller than 0.7. So I'm going to drop down the 2/3 x on both sides. I'm still putting the x's on top of each other. All right, don't say divide, don't say divide, don't say divide, don't say divide. How do I move the 2/3 x? Subtract. Thank you, because it's a positive. Opposite of positive is a negative. I'm going to minus 2/3 x on both sides. Well, 2/3 minus 2/3 is 0. So that cancels out. Okay. Oh my gosh, 3/4 minus 2/3. I don't know, but hey, I have a calculator that does. So remember how we type in a fraction in my calculator? Alpha y equals enter. 3 and then arrow down to 4. So 3/4 and then arrow out to write a minus. And then you're going to hit alpha y equals enter again to get your second fraction. And then you're going to get 2/3 like that. So 3/4 minus 2/3 is 1/12. That seems super complicated, but hey, my calculator did it for me. So 1/12 x plus 2 equals plus 5. Plus 5 is just positive 5. Okay, we're on the home stretch. Okay, so let's just answer this really quick. What's the next number that I drop down? 2. Good job. So I drop down the 2. It's a plus 2. Opposite of a plus 2 is a minus 2. So I'm going to minus 2 on both sides. So drop everything down again. I have 1/12 x equals 5 minus 2 is 3. Okay, this one is kind of tricky now. Do you see how 1/12 is still on the same side as x? So I would drop down the 1/12. But how do I move this 1/12? Do I add, subtract, multiply, or divide by 1/12?
Divide.
Yeah, divide, because it's 1/12 times x. Opposite of times is divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 1/12. So it is so important that when you type this, you type it in the right order. 3 is on top, so you write 3 first. 1/12 is on the bottom, so you write 1/12 second. So in your calculator, you would type in 3 divided by 1/12. So that's alpha y equals enter 1/12. So 3 divided by 1/12, you get 36. So x equals 36. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, on the video that all of you are going to watch today, it's on a sheet of paper that looks like this, okay? We already did the middle 3. So all you have to do is watch the video and watch the first 3. If you want to fast forward to through the middle 3, that's fine. Or watch it again if you want more practice. And then watch the last 3. Follow along, copy with it, take notes. And remember that you're still doing yesterday's school